Hi, my name is Dr. Dan Keys. I'm an emergency medicine doctor and also certified in the new field of lifestyle medicine. Lifestyle medicine is the specialty that helps people avoid disease in the first place. And sometimes you can even reverse disease by taking on good health habits. Some of our doctors here would like to share with you some information about how you can prevent diseases and problems in your future. You see, many studies have been done on what makes a difference in your health. I'd like to take just a few minutes to share them with you now. There's a saying that's so true. It goes something like this: the best time to start taking precautions to prevent disease is a year ago, but the second best time is today. I'd like to do something a bit different today. I want to show you a bit of the actual research so you can see that this is real science, and that can make a big difference for you. Take a look at this research report. These two bars compare what our healthcare system does for health and what your lifestyle choices can do. And what you do, the choices that you make, are about 4 times more powerful than the things we doctors and other practitioners do for your health. I'm definitely glad that you're here to be checked out today. Of course, it's good to have a top-notch healthcare practitioner team when you need them. And thankfully, many of the amazing advances in medicine have been made, and healthcare in recent years has been improved. But nothing, nothing compares to what you can do by choosing to do the right things for your health. Things like eating safe and healthy foods, doing some exercise, and getting the right kind of sleep. And of course, not smoking cigarettes. Now, some researchers, I'd say some brilliant researchers, got together and looked at data from a very large study in Europe. And they report that if you do just 4 things, you can avoid 80% of chronic diseases. That's 4/5 of these major common diseases. And these 4 things you can do are: 1, don't smoke cigarettes. 2, try to maintain a healthy body weight. And if it's high, try strategies to lower your weight. It seems like almost all of us are working on that one. And 3, get some exercise. And finally, 4th, eat a healthy diet that is mostly plant-based and not much meat. And if you do these 4 things, you can eliminate or prevent 80% of chronic diseases. And if you already have some health problems and some diagnoses, by correcting these habits, you can often improve your health quite a bit. What I'm talking about here is how to avoid pain and suffering in your future. Good choices mean not only a longer life, but also a lot less pain and suffering along the way. So here's the summary again.
First, avoid cigarettes. Don't start smoking and make it your serious goal to quit if you are a smoker. Second, do your best to keep your weight down if you are overweight. Third, exercise several days a week if you're able to. And 4th, eat a plant-based diet. Actually, most people don't smoke anymore. Over the past 30 or 40 years, the number of people who smoke in the US has gone way down. I'm not going to talk much about the dangers of smoking with you today, but you should know that if you smoke, quitting is the most powerful thing you can do for your health. If you want to quit, the question is, what really works? What does the research say? So if you or somebody you know smokes, the research shows that using medicine is the most successful. There are many types of medicine, and I won't list them all here, but you should talk to your primary care provider. Counseling can also help you quit, either in a group or individually, one-on-one with the counselor. But the best of all is to combine them together. Medicine plus counseling. This brings the highest success rates.
Let's dive into diet for a minute. As you can see, I will be showing you some scientific research. But if you're not a scientist, there's no need to worry. You should just know that there's a lot of agreement amongst healthcare authorities about which foods we should eat. Here, you can see from an article from a large study that compared the diets of meat eaters and vegetarians, that vegetarians did better in avoiding death, specifically from heart disease and diabetes, which is the most important threat for most of us. Actually, in this study, pescatarians, or those who ate fish with their vegetables, did quite well too. Now, I'd like to be clear. We're not saying that you have to ditch meat completely, but you do have to do your best to add more plant-based meals to your routine, such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, such as beans and lentils. So here's the key takeaway. Smoking is a no-go. Don't start, and if you do smoke, quit. Maintaining a healthy weight is important for overall health. Aim for regular exercise most days of the week, incorporate more plant-based meals into your diet, and load up on fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. I mentioned that we should really not be eating much meat, but processed meats are really bad for you. In fact, the World Health Organization has classified processed meats, like bacon for example, as a level 1 carcinogen, the highest level risk for cancer.
Make it a plant-based diet, mostly whole foods if you can. By whole foods, I mean less processing is better. And for sure, avoid all of those ultra-processed foods, which most of us call junk foods.
So next, let me show you the scientific evidence about exercise. I don't mean to scare anyone with scientific charts and graphs, but this really shows the benefit of getting regular exercise. This one shows mortality, death, here on the left, and exercise across the bottom. Actually, I'll show you my own little sketch here. You can see here that the higher you are on the graph, the more disease and suffering, ultimately death, a person will experience. Moving right along the graph means doing more exercise. So I think you can see here that the more exercise you do each week, the less likely you are to suffer from disease and death. But there's something else you should see here. This graph starts to flatten out as you go right. As you do more exercise, that means you get the most benefit from doing the first part of the graph. This is huge. You don't have to do hours of hard work to get a lot of good from exercise. If you walk 150 minutes a week, about 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week, you can get the bulk of the benefit. Sure, you can get even more benefit from doing more exercise, but you have to work really hard to gain only a little bit of health. So you should aim to do 150 minutes of exercise, about 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week, or 40 minutes of exercise 4 days a week. But if you start exercising, increase gradually. If you have any health conditions, be sure to ask your doctor before starting an exercise program.
Now let's talk about sleep. Actually, sleep was not mentioned in the study we shared with you earlier, but you'll see here that it is good science to say that sleep is also very important. Many of us have a hard time with this. This is another medical research article from American Heart Association. It looks a lot like the other curve that we saw for exercise. Actually, let me focus on one of those curves. This side is again showing death and disease. You want to be as low as possible on the disease side, right? So you can see from this curve for adults that the more sleep you get, the lower the death and disease, until you get to about 7 or 8 hours. Actually, too much sleep is also not good for you. You start to go up on death and disease. Now, I should mention that this information is taken from a broad population, so an individual person might be somewhat different. We know, for example, that for children and adolescents, they may need more sleep, but this is probably a good guide for most of us. Here are some strategies to improve your sleep. Avoid that light from your smartphone and computer screen several hours before sleep. Avoid caffeine later in the day. Try to keep a consistent schedule as best as you can. And some people might use some chamomile tea or an occasional melatonin tablet to help them sleep.
So this was a summary of the things you can start doing in order to have better health and suffer less in your future. Here's something I like to make. If I make a soup, I usually start by sauteing some onions, and then I throw those in. I throw some carrots in after cutting them up. Then I add water and bring it to a boil. Then I'll add some celery that I've cut up and then some quinoa. You can also, maybe you can do rice instead if you like that. And this helps fill you up. Now, then I add some split peas or you can put in some lentils. And these are full of protein and fiber. And then stir everything and boil. Oh, and add some spices like garlic powder and maybe a touch of turmeric, and then serve it with some, brown rice or quinoa. So thank you for your time and interest in this short video. I just like to say that you are worth it. You deserve good health. Remember, even if you have some health conditions already, changes like these can sometimes reverse disease. And for sure, they can almost always help keep it from getting worse. If you already have specific medical conditions, then be sure to discuss them with your doctor or practitioner before you get started. So if you have any questions about what you've seen here, be sure to ask the doctor or practitioner when they come back. And also, talk about it with your primary care provider. We wish you the best of success in getting started on these changes. Have a great day.